In the middle of the night, my mother pulled me out of bed. She put on her clothes and said solemnly, "Get up quickly. Your Aunt Sue called and said Yao Chuan was in a car accident. Let's go to the hospital." My heart was beating like a drum, and I didn't realize it until I arrived at the hospital and saw Yao Chuan's parents anxiously turning around at the door of the operating room. This was not a quick review before suicide, but a real rebirth. My mother was busy asking about Yao Chuan's condition, and several adults were panicking like children. Instead, I became the only one who could communicate calmly with the doctor. Family members should be mentally prepared. The patient's face was hit hard and the cornea has fallen off. I am afraid that he will be blind. Like in her previous life, Aunt Sue almost fainted when she heard this. I sighed silently, and there was really no wave in my heart. I only said, "The cornea has fallen off. But the eyeball can still be saved, right?" The doctor said he tried his best and put the pen in my hand. "Who are you?" to the patient. Sign quickly. The word "wife" almost came out of my mouth, but I held it back. Then I handed the pen to Uncle Yi, who was still calm. "I am the patient's neighbor and have no right to sign." In my previous life, when I learned that Yao Chuan was about to go blind, my reaction was similar to Aunt Sue's. After all, he was the person I had secretly loved for 10 years, thinking that Yao Chuan, such a willful person, would never see this world again. My heart softened and I donated a cornea. Yao Chuan was able to see the light again, and after being depressed for a few days, he proposed to me in the hospital. At that time, he supported me and said, "Qingyan, we will be each other's light in the future." The 10-year secret love got a result at this moment, but I was a little hesitant. What about Jiyu? Yao Chuan sneered and pointed to his eyes. If she hadn't broken up with me in the middle of the night, how could I be like this? At the beginning, he answered decisively, but he changed less than 2 years after marriage. By chance, I saw him asking AI software more than once. How to make a person's cornea fall off, help me design a perfect car accident, can people who died of carbon monoxide poisoning donate their corneas? When I saw these questions, I felt like I had fallen into hell. I gave him a cornea for many years of friendship, but he wanted to take my other one, so I closed the doors and windows and burned charcoal at home, and drank with Yao Chuan for the first time after marriage. When we were both drunk, I asked him, "Do you regret marrying me?" He spoke the truth after drinking, and his eyes looked at me like a knife. "If I don't marry you, how can I be worthy of the car accident you carefully designed?" He found my diary from somewhere and threw it hard on the table. "Zhou Qingyan, you have been secretly in love with me since childhood, but you can't get me, so you deliberately designed this car accident to make me blind, right? I am blind. And you took the opportunity to donate your corneas to ask for a favor, just to marry me naturally. You ruined my health, ruined my relationship with Jiyu, and want me to feel guilty about you for the rest of my life. You are so vicious. I would rather be blind for the rest of my life than look at your face." Every word he said was enough to shock me. I explained with red eyes, but he slammed the table and asked, "Then why are you willing to be a disabled person and donate your corneas to me? You are not brainwashed by some bullshit childhood sweethearts, are you? We are just neighbors. There is no such complicated relationship." I was stunned. It turns out that Yao Chuan has always been speculating about me maliciously. The carbon dioxide is getting thinner and thinner, and my mind is gradually not clear. He and I both died in that room, and the death was not painful. This time, I watched the two families try to find the cornea with a cold eye, and I didn't intend to get involved in any cause and effect of Yao Chuan. Aunt Sue kept wiping tears, and my mother was also worried. Alas, why would Yao Chuan go out to drive fast in the middle of the night? What important thing did he have to risk his life for? A good young man. Just a trace of hatred flashed across Aunt Sue's face when she heard it. I looked at Yao Chuan's mobile phone and found out that he secretly had a girlfriend named Jiyu behind our backs. The girl got angry and said that if Yao Chuan didn't reach the high-speed rail station within 10 minutes, she would leave the city. Yao Chuan got anxious and I lowered my eyes and said nothing. This matter didn't seem to have anything to do with me. But Yao Chuan could put the blame on me in his previous life. As soon as the voice fell, there was a crackling sound in the ward. Aunt Sue and my mother ran in quickly without reacting. I followed in and took a look. Yao Chuan knocked over the water cup on the table and fell off the bed. He pulled off the gauze on his eyes, and now he was reaching out with red eyes and touching everywhere. "Yao Chuan," Aunt Sue cried with distress, "get up quickly, the ground is cold. You moved around as soon as you woke up. Be careful not to touch your leg bone." Yao Chuan held Aunt Sue's hand tightly as if he was grabbing a life-saving straw. "Mom, what's wrong with my eyes? Why can't I see anything? Why?" Aunt Sue felt sorry for her son and opened her mouth several times to speak, but couldn't say anything. She covered her mouth and cried, holding back until her shoulders trembled and she didn't dare to make a sound. Yao Chuan couldn't see where the person was. so he could only look around, with panic in his eyes. In the end, my mother couldn't bear it anymore, so she pulled me and her to help Yi Yaochuan up. Qingyan, you are Qingyan, right? Tell me what happened to me? I looked at Aunt Sue with a complicated expression, and only said after getting permission, I was in a car accident and my cornea fell off, and I became blind. Yi Yaochuan was stunned and blurted out, impossible. I didn't say anything else. And Aunt Sue came up to comfort him immediately. Don't be afraid, your father and Uncle Zhou have gone to find a cornea for you. We will be able to restore our vision soon. Yi Yaochuan, who had been wanton and flamboyant since childhood, couldn't bear this blow. In the end, the doctor came to the ward to remind him, you must take extra care of your eyes now, otherwise the situation will deteriorate further, and even if you have a cornea, you can't transplant it. I smiled but said nothing. If the cornea could be easily obtained, Yi Yaochuan would not have thought about my other cornea in his previous life, but isn't this exactly what he wished for? In this life, at least he can never see me again. Uncle Yi failed to find corneas repeatedly, and his hair turned white in a few days. Yi Yaochuan couldn't accept the fact that he was blind, and his whole body exuded hostility. Less than 3 days after being hospitalized, Aunt Sue was hospitalized for high blood pressure. I deliberately avoided Yi Yaochuan, but was scolded by my parents. Qingyan, our two families have always been on good terms. You should at least help me. I couldn't refuse, so I had to go. As soon as I entered the ward, Yi Yaochuan heard the movement and turned his head. It's Qingyan. I was surprised, and then heard Yi Yaochuan laugh at himself. I know your footsteps. Why haven't you come to the hospital to see me? Do I look scary now? I sat not far from his bed and said indifferently, I've been too busy recently and haven't found the time. The 10-year secret love had long disappeared in the grinding after marriage in the previous life. In this life, my love mind is clear. Yi Yaochuan was right. We are just neighbors. He seemed to be waiting for my comfort, seeing that I was slow to speak. He reached out and began to touch his phone again. After finally finding it, he stretched his hand to the other side of the bed. He said to the air, please help me see if Jiyu called me. I can't even open my phone. Jiyu must be very worried that she can't contact me for so many days. I sighed helplessly. I'm here. Yi Yaochuan was stunned for a moment, and a trace of frustration flashed across his face. I took the phone and fiddled with it. There were 0 missed calls. I opened WeChat and saw that the chat history between the two was still a few days ago. I glanced at Yi Yaochuan, and out of curiosity I still opened the dialog box. I really want to know why Yi Yaochuan blamed me for his car accident in his previous life. Yi Yaochuan. My mother said that if she wants to marry me, the gift must be a shopping mall. This is non-negotiable. Your family is big and powerful. Even if 2 shopping malls are nothing to you, since you are so insincere, we will break up. Yi Yaochuan was very humble. Let's discuss this matter again, okay? I will talk to my parents. Jiyu sent a high-speed rail ticket in half an hour. Then come to me after you have discussed it. Yi Yaochuan begged Jiyu not to leave. In the end, Jiyu gave in, but said that she would only give him 10 minutes. After reading the chat records, I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. The two of them quarreled over the gift, which had nothing to do with me, in the last life. He took out all his anger on me just because I was soft-hearted and donated a cornea to him. How is it? Is there any news? Yi Yaochuan asked anxiously. I shook my head and put the phone on his lap. No, impossible. He fumbled for his phone and tried to hand it to me. Is my phone out of battery? Or maybe I got in a car accident and my phone broke, so I can't receive messages on WeChat. Qingyan, can you buy me a new phone? Looking at Yi Yaochuan's anxious look, I felt a little relieved. I deliberately said, as if in revenge, Jiyu has never contacted you, not even once. Since then, Yi Yaochuan asked me to check his unread messages on his phone every day. As time went by, Yi Yaochuan was obviously panicking. Why hasn't Jiyu contacted me after so many days of no contact? Do you think something has happened to her? I looked at him expressionlessly, but Yi Yaochuan suddenly said, please call Jiyu for me. The moment the call was connected, Yi Yaochuan's eyes lit up. And this was the first time he smiled in a few days. Jiyu, the person on the other end of the phone didn't have a good attitude. Why did you call me? I said I would only wait for you for 10 minutes, but you didn't come. Doesn't this mean you broke up with me? Don't bother me anymore. Yi Yaochuan explained again and again. Sorry, Jiyu, don't hang up. I didn't mean to be late, and I don't want to break up, but I had a car accident and have been hospitalized. I got up and walked out, afraid that I would be rejected and he would blame me. But when I saw how Yi Yaochuan treated Jiyu, I realized that he really didn't love me. We grew up together, and I had never seen Yi Yaochuan look so humble. After Aunt Sue came, I went to find the attending doctor. If the car accident was so serious, why did Yi Yaochuan only have minor injuries in other parts of his body, but his eyes were the most seriously injured? The doctor's face was also a bit helpless. When we picked him up from the scene, his face was covered in blood. Later, we found out that the patient's steering wheel logo had a raised decoration, and the airbag happened to poke into his eye after it was deployed. What a pity. I raised my eyebrows and went home, knowing what was going on. In my last life, I put my whole heart on Yi Yaochuan. When I looked back on my life before I died, I realized that I had played a good hand of cards to pieces, this time. I used 2/3 of my savings to buy gold. My mother looked at me suspiciously. You want to open a gold shop? I smiled and shook my head. Keep it for appreciation. My father was unhappy when he came back in the evening, and he sighed while eating. He kept glancing at me from time to time. The cornea can't be found at all. I'm afraid that Yaochuan is. I looked up at my dad. Do your best and leave it to fate. You have tried your best. Even if Uncle Yi can't be found, we won't blame you. My parents looked at me in unison, cautiously testing me. Dad is afraid that you can't accept it. We know that you and Yaochuan have a good relationship since childhood, and it's even better when you grow up. If you insist, Mom and Dad won't object. After hearing the meaning behind their words, I put down my chopsticks seriously. Dad, Mom, I don't like Yi Yaochuan anymore. It's not because he is blind, but because he already has a girlfriend. He is not suitable for me. We are just ordinary friends and neighbors. Don't say such things anymore in the future. My parents were surprised for a moment, and soon nodded. Yen. Don't worry, no matter what you choose, we support you. A week later, Dad wanted to pick up Yi Yaochuan from the hospital, but Aunt Sue refused my dad helplessly. Thank you, but Yaochuan's friend is here and said he wants to take him out of the hospital. Thank you for your hard work during this period. At noon that day, we saw a girl helping Yi Yaochuan get out of the car. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi followed behind, with no expression of joy or anger on their faces. I heard that Aunt Sue had always disagreed with this girl. Why did she suddenly change her mind now? My mother shook her head and said, Yi Yaochuan can't see anymore, so Aunt Sue can't disagree. That night, Aunt Sue and her family asked us to have dinner. I found an excuse to refuse, but Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi came in person. If Changyan is not free today, why don't we have dinner another day? Your family has helped a lot during this period, and we don't know how to thank you. We must come to our house for dinner. Apart from Yi Yaochuan, Aunt Sue and her husband have always treated me well. Whether in the last life or this life, I couldn't refuse, so I had to agree. After my mother arrived, she went to the kitchen to help Aunt Sue. My father and Uncle Yi stayed together, scratching their heads and contacting people everywhere to find corneas. Only I sat in the living room with Yi Yaochuan and Ji Yu awkwardly. Ji Yu acted like a hostess and poured me a cup of tea. I heard that you are the childhood sweetheart who grew up with Yaochuan. I smiled politely. Not really, just a neighbor. In the corner of my eye, Yi Yaochuan frowned, but when Ji Yu approached his arms, the frown immediately relaxed. Ji Yu smiled shyly. Yaochuan became more dependent on me after he lost his sight. I had no intention of competing, so I just smiled in agreement. In this life, I just want to keep a distance from Yi Yaochuan. As for whether he is happy after being blind, it is not something I should care about. At the dinner table, Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi drank to drown their sorrows. After 3 rounds of drinking, they were both a little tipsy. I helped Aunt Sue back to the bedroom. Aunt, take a good rest. Yi Yaochuan is getting better day by day. Don't worry too much. Everyone is still trying to find corneas. Aunt Sue covered her face and cried. Corneas can't be bought even if you spend money. We all know that this is just a hope. Aunt Ji Yu didn't agree to her entering the house. Qingyan, you and Yaochuan are. I interrupted Aunt Sue with a smile. Aunt, Yi Yaochuan and I are friends. You should help them. Aunt Sue nodded after a moment of stunned, and her tears flowed even more fiercely. I helped my parents back home. Before leaving, I looked back and saw Ji Yu looking up at the Yi family's house, with greed in her eyes. According to Yi Yaochuan's personality, he must have looked for Ji Yu after the accident in his previous life, but Ji Yu rejected Yi Yaochuan who had one eye to see in his previous life, but changed her mind about Yi Yaochuan who was blind in this life. Ji Yu might have ulterior motives. Yi Yaochuan and Ji Yu got married soon. It should be a happy event, but Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi were frowning. Why does Aunt Sue have more white hair recently than a few days ago? My mother had a look of disappointment on her face. It's because she's worried about Yi Yaochuan. That girl is not a good person. She took advantage of Yi Yaochuan's blindness and asked for a lot of money. She asked for more than half of the Bai family's property as a gift, saying that it was a gift from the Bai family to her. Yi Yaochuan said that he would marry her, and your Uncle Yi was so angry that his heart disease almost recurred. Marrying Ji Yu is Yi Yaochuan's lifelong obsession. Not to mention half of the family property. Even if all the property was taken away, Yi Yaochuan would probably be happy. The only pitiful ones are Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi. People have to suffer this disaster in middle age. After dinner in the evening, I returned to my room. I was blind in one eye in my previous life, so I naturally have to take a good look at the beautiful mountains and rivers of my motherland in this life, while I was making a strategy. My mother suddenly knocked on the door. "Qingyan, Yao Chuan is here to see you." I frowned, recalled that I had indeed been keeping a distance from him recently, and then got up and went downstairs. "Is there anything?" Yao Chuan looked over at the sound of my voice. "Do you want to go out for a walk?" I looked back at my parents, put on a coat and went out, but I didn't go far. Just under the street light at the door of the house, Yao Chuan fumbled with his hands and didn't take a step. Seeing that I didn't come forward for a long time, he pursed his lips. "Won't you help me?" I sighed softly. Men and women should not touch each other. I want to keep my distance from married people. Yao Chuan walked over step by step tentatively, and a small stone tripped him. I looked at him expressionlessly. After all, in his last life, he slapped the table and said that he would rather be blind than see me. Yao Chuan walked 10 minutes to stagger over for a 1-minute walk. I had lost my patience, but he took out a bag of wedding candy from his pocket. As usual, I took it out secretly and give it to you. When I was a child, I was greedy, no matter what food there was at home. Yao Chuan would steal a portion for me first. "You're looking for me for this." I tilted my head to look at him, thinking carefully about my initial heartbeat. It seemed that it was because of his boundless goodness. "Put it away, you have to be careful when you get married." I found an excuse to refuse. But Yao Chuan's eyes turned red. He was still a little excited. "I know how you feel about me. If we can't be lovers, can we not even be friends? You used to pester me every day. But now you start saying I'm just your neighbor." I was stunned for a moment, and then I remembered that he was talking about the time when he went to their house for dinner. I chuckled. Although I didn't understand what he meant by this, I still returned his words from the last life intact. "You won't be brainwashed by some childhood sweethearts, right? We are just neighbors. There is no such complicated relationship." Yao Chuan's expression froze for a moment. It seemed that his ears turned red in embarrassment. I touched my arm, which was a little cold. "It's too cold. Go back early. You can walk back, right?" Yao Chuan lowered his eyes and stared at the ground, making it hard to guess his emotions. "I've walked here 800 times. I can even walk back and forth in my dreams." After he finished speaking, I closed the door with confidence. If it breaks, it will really make Aunt Sue suffer. 2 days later, I got on a plane to travel. I wore headphones and looked out the window all the way. As the clouds rolled and spread, all the grudges were thrown behind me. The world is worth it, and it is not wise to waste your thoughts on a man. I travel to more than 10 cities in half a year. Everywhere I go, I will meet all kinds of friends, and even unexpectedly become a travel blogger. My parents followed my account, and they competed to see who was the first in my comment section every day. But soon I found a private account that was wrong. Every day, they would come to my comment section and be sarcastic. "Girls should stay at home to take care of their husbands and children. How can they be seen in public every day? No one has family education. Who knows where your money comes from?" I asked my friend to trace the account, but I laughed the moment I found out that the person was Jiyu. I asked around when chatting with my parents in the evening. "Yao Chuan and Jiyu have already obtained the marriage certificate. Why haven't they held the wedding yet?" My mother opened up her mouth when she talked about them. Yao Chuan has always wanted to do it, but Jiyu disagreed, saying that Yao Chuan is blind and ashamed. "Your Aunt Sue comes to complain to me every day that Jiyu is not as kind as she was before marriage. Not only did she occupy more than half of the Bai family's property, but she also started to bully Yao Chuan 2 months after marriage. Your Aunt Sue saw her asking Yao Chuan to pour her foot washing water more than once. It's not a big deal. But Yao Chuan can't see the road." Once, the old couple heard a clanging sound in the middle of the night. When they came out, they found that it was Yao Chuan who rolled down from the 2nd floor, and his foot washing water was all over his body. "Don't you think this is bullying?" I was a little dazed when I listened, and I couldn't help but think of my previous life. In the 3rd year of donating my cornea, my right eyeball atrophied a little, so Yao Chuan refused to take me out when he met with friends every week. Once I tentatively proposed to go together, but Yao Chuan refused without even thinking. Later, he was annoyed by my pestering, so he pulled me in front of the mirror. He blurted out, "Look at your own eyes. Aren't atrophied eyeballs scary?" At that moment, surprise, inferiority, and disbelief all flooded into my mind. Isn't it for him to see the light again? But Yao Chuan didn't even give me a chance to refute, and slammed the door and went out. Later, I accidentally heard him talking to a friend on the phone, and I knew that he felt that we were destined to be inseparable in this life because of various ties. Just like now that Ji is sure to leave her, Yi Yaochuan will not be wanted by anyone anymore, so he can treat him casually. It can be said that the situation has changed. It was another 3 months before I went home again. I brought back some specialties from other places, and my mother felt sorry for Aunt Sue, so she gave half of them to her after lunch, but I didn't expect that 0 minutes later, my mother came back with a face full of anger, and Aunt Sue followed behind with red eyes. The originally well-packaged specialty was also broken. What's wrong? My mother was very angry. This is not marrying a daughter-in-law, it's clearly marrying a Tyrannosaurus Rex. That Ji threw out all the things you bought, and not only did you say something sarcastic, but also said that your Aunt Sue was old and confused. It's only been a short time since you got married. I'm afraid you will have to shit on the necks of your elders in the future. Aunt Sue held my hand, and she had lost a lot of weight in a few months. If that hadn't happened, Lao Bai and I would never let this woman in. Auntie heard Ji talking to a man on the phone more than once in the middle of the night, but Auntie couldn't say it, so she could only pretend not to know. I poured Aunt Sue a glass of water. I don't interfere in their family affairs, but Ji and I still have old accounts to settle, so I went directly to the next door. Ji opened the door with a disdainful look on her face. The travel blogger is back. Why? Are you here to defend our family? Since you like to meddle in other people's business, why don't you give up the position of Bai's daughter-in-law to you? I sneered and directly found her account. Do you think I can't find you using a private account? In the past few months, you have maliciously slandered and set the tone under my videos, and the cumulative number of likes has reached 30,000. Do you know what the crime of spreading rumors is? Ji's face flashed a trace of unnaturalness, but it was gone in a flash. You said it was me. Do you have evidence? I can find your IP. Do you think the police can't find it? Ji curled her lips in disdain. Can't you just delete it? It's too late. I have already preserved the evidence. It's useless even if you delete it now. Ji's eyes flashed a trace of barely perceptible panic, but she couldn't beat me, so she turned around and called Yi Yaochuan out. Yi Yaochuan couldn't see, and Ji didn't even hide the disgust on her face. Husband, what should I do if your childhood sweetheart bullies me? Yi Yaochuan frowned slightly and began to stretch out his hands to grope around. Is Qingyan back? Ji's face suddenly darkened. Yi Yaochuan, why didn't you defend me in your first reaction? You don't love me anymore after getting married, right? Yi Yaochuan paused, and was about to speak when Ji drove him into the room. I watched coldly, and it turned out that men are all cheap. In the last life, Yi Yaochuan and I were married, but he never said a word for me. Ji's face was a little distorted. See, men don't cherish what they get. What's the difference between such a man and no one? I should be grateful to Yi Yaochuan for not running away. I looked at her leisurely and asked the puzzlement in my heart, but why did you come to me to show off your presence? Yi Yaochuan loves you to the bone. Ji's hand holding the doorframe suddenly clenched, and she unconsciously clenched her teeth when she spoke. She lowered her voice. What's the use of him loving me? I still have to take care of him, eating, drinking, defecating and urinating. I married him. Just like finding myself a son. Why do you think the Bai family is willing to give me so much money? Even you, his childhood sweetheart, are gone. Who would want him? I'm just angry. Why do I live like an old woman at home? But you can live a colorful life outside. If I hadn't come from a poor family, I wouldn't have earned this useless fee. I sighed a little, but I thought it was within my expectations. Even if you tell the Bai family all my words, I'm not afraid. Who let their son be blind? I thought about it and told her what the doctor said. You know, he became blind because you put decorations on his steering wheel, and the airbag popped out and hurt his eyes. Ji sneered. So what? He wanted to. Sure enough, 2 people can sleep in the same bed. I naturally won't tell anyone these words, but I continued to warn her before leaving. If you don't apologize in my comment section within 24 hours, I will sue you for slander. Apology alone is not enough. If you talk back to my mom again, I still reserve the right to sue you. I will hire the best lawyer at that time and make you lose everything you have now. Ji was clinging to the door tightly, and was so stupid as to threaten me with Yi Yaochuan. Without me, Yi Yaochuan would be useless. I smiled. What does it have to do with me? Ji was still reluctant to lose everything she had now, so she apologized on social media at night. She also knew to greet my parents politely when she met them on the road. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi couldn't stand this kind of life, so they simply bought another house near their home and moved out. The travel blogger made me a freelancer, and I went out with friends every day until the evening before coming back. My friends said I had changed. You used to be an I person. Why are you more restless than me, an E person, now? I smiled but said nothing. Maybe he was scared after losing an eye in his previous life. This time, I will naturally make up for it all. Without Yi Yaochuan, my life seems to be more and more colorful, but when I went home that night, I ran into Yi Yaochuan on the bench at the door of my house. He had lost a lot of weight and sat there blankly like a sculpture under the street light. He slowly looked up after hearing me and my friend say, "Goodbye. Is Qingyan back?" I frowned and walked towards him. "Why are you here?" Yi Yaochuan's hand tightly grasped the guide stick. And he took out a jewelry box from his pocket until I was almost out of patience. He opened it carefully, and I saw that there was a jade bracelet in excellent condition. "Qingyan, this is for you," I chuckled. "This jade bracelet is a family heirloom of the Yi family. I didn't receive it until the day I died in my previous life, but in this life, Yi Yaochuan took the initiative to send it to me. This should be given to your wife. I won't accept it." When mentioning Jiyu, Yi Yaochuan suddenly became a little excited. "Don't mention her. If it weren't for her, how could my eyes become like this?" This sounded so familiar. He seemed to have said the same thing to me in my previous life. See, no matter what choice you make, men can always put the blame on others. And they are always the most innocent. Thinking of the things in my previous life, I really don't have a good attitude towards Yi Yaochuan. "What do you want to say?" Yi Yaochuan looked dejected and spoke after a while. "Qingyan, I regret it. Obviously, we are childhood sweethearts. Why do you have a crush on Jiyu? I have always known what you think of me, and I know I am wrong." I was about to interrupt him, but I saw him raise his head with hope on his face. "Qingyan, are you willing to save me? I really can't stand this world full of darkness." I was shocked and sneered. "Are you crazy? Who do you think you are? Why should I save you?" Yi Yaochuan stood up slowly, and tears flowed from his eyes. I looked at him coldly and became more and more disgusted with him. He asked for it shamelessly when he didn't give it to me. I must have had a brain problem in my previous life to like him. I turned around and wanted to leave, but suddenly I heard him say excitedly, "You will save me? You are going to give me a cornea?" I paused and looked back at the man under the streetlight in surprise. It turned out that Yi Yaochuan was also reborn. He took 2 steps forward and begged humbly, "Please save me again. Didn't you want to give me a cornea? Why don't you want to now?" "Qingyan, as long as you are willing to save me, I will divorce Jiyu immediately and be with you. Okay, we will be very happy in the future, and I will love you forever." I sneered. "Then what? Then you dislike my eye atrophy and bring me out to embarrass me?" Yi Yaochuan was stunned for a moment, and he didn't react for a while. He murmured, "What?" I helped him recall word by word. "Do you remember how you asked AI questions? How to make a person's cornea fall off? Help me design a perfect car accident? Can people who died of carbon monoxide poisoning donate corneas?" Yi Yaochuan, didn't you say that you would rather be blind for a lifetime than see me? You should be happy if your life goes as you wish." Yi Yaochuan froze in place, and he couldn't speak as if he was struck by lightning. I turned around and went home, leaving him crying and apologizing behind me without stopping. When I closed the door, I heard Yi Yaochuan fall down. I didn't go to see him. In this life, I don't want to see him again. I don't know if it was because I returned those words intact. I slept particularly well that night, but I didn't expect that I would be awakened by the sound of sirens and Aunt Sue's crying the next day. Yi Yaochuan and Jiyu were both dead when Aunt Sue went to deliver breakfast to them. She smelled the pungent smell of blood as soon as she opened the door. I looked closely and found that Jiyu was lying on the stairs covered in blood, and the carpet on the stairs was stained red. Her throat was cut. Yi Yaochuan was also lying on the bed covered in blood, but he was inexplicably peaceful. When he was found, the corners of his lips were even raised. Except for the wound on his neck, there were 7 or 8 stab marks of different sizes on his upper body. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi cried uncontrollably. They fainted several times before they managed to go to the police station to make a statement. "Police comrade, my son was obviously murdered." The police took out 2 mobile phones with a serious look on their faces. "I found them on the grass behind your house. After verification, they belonged to Yi Yaochuan and Jiyu. We found a recording of what appeared to be a suicide note in Yi Yaochuan's mobile phone. Please listen to it." Yi Yaochuan's hoarse voice slowly sounded, "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for having to say goodbye to you in this way. I have no choice but to do it. I have to face you with my face. Jiyu cheated on me and brought that wild man home the night before yesterday. 2 people bullied me because I couldn't see, and they did it in my room." Yi Yaochuan's voice was a little trembling. "I really can't stand this kind of life. It's a pity that I only see Jiyu's true face now. She married me just for money. I'm so good to her, but this is how she repays me. If it weren't for her, I might not be blind, and even if I was blind, someone would donate corneas to me. I didn't cherish it, but this bitch deserves to die." I thought about divorce, but I was unwilling to let her take away most of my property. "I'm afraid that you will have a hard time in the future. After killing Jiyu, I will commit suicide. I'm sorry, Mom and Dad. I've discredited you." Is Qing Yan here? I'm sorry. I hope we can meet again in the next life. After listening to the recording, my parents and Yi Yaochuan's parents cried bitterly. The police also looked reluctant after the forensic autopsy. It was determined that the wounds on Yi Yaochuan's body should be the result of Ji Yu's injury. Ji Yu climbed to the stairs because she found that her cell phone was missing and wanted to escape to find someone to save her life. But she died of excessive blood loss in the end. I lowered my eyes, feeling mixed emotions. Aunt Sue and Uncle Yi are the most pitiful people. As for Yi Yaochuan, he said he hoped we could meet again in this life, but I hope we will never see each other again in this life. At that time, he supported me and said, Qingyan, we will be each other's light in the future. Big after handling Yi Yaochuan's funeral, Aunt Sue and her husband collapsed completely. The couple's hair turned white overnight. My mother couldn't bear to see them, and she took care of them every day. Even with the caregiver, she was still worried. After Aunt Sue's body got better, I went to see her. She cried when she saw me. Good boy, it's Yaochuan who is unlucky. I was too lazy to listen to what he said. So I helped my aunt wipe her tears and changed the subject. You and uncle should have a good rest and get well soon. Next time I go out, can I take you with me? You and uncle will live with my parents in the future. This was my mother's suggestion. I once opposed it, but was criticized by my mother. Have you forgotten how your Aunt Sue treated you well when you were a child? Yaochuan is 2 years older than you. You cried all the time when you were born. At that time, the family conditions were not so good. I was exhausted from taking care of you. It was your Aunt Sue who raised you little by little. They have lost their son. If they continue like this, I'm afraid they won't be able to bear it soon. My mother's eyes turned red as she spoke. I didn't refute it again. After getting married in the previous life, my uncle and aunt were still as good to me as always. It was all Yi Yaochuan's fault. After my uncle and aunt took care of themselves for a year, I took them on the plane to Yunnan. I rented a small yard for them, and it was just right for the 4 of us to be together. On the contrary, I was the one who carried the equipment out to shoot materials every day, while they played mahjong and made a clattering sound. Everyone was just right.